Hi, Dave. Thanks for making the time to come on the show. Everything okay?
Yeah, good. Thanks for having me on the show.
Well, SoundCloud has been public now for over 10 months, and many of my listeners are familiar with the service already, but just to make it clear for everyone, can you tell us what you do in a nutshell?
Yeah, so basically SoundCloud is a online audio platform for any music professionals or anyone who basically needs to host, share and distribute audio files. So that could be a label, it could be an independent artist, it could be a studio, it could be a music blogger, really anyone who has the problem of sharing and moving music around the web.
And the company started out as a relatively straightforward music-specific file delivery service that aimed at taking away some of the hassle from using non-specific services like YouSendIt, for example. But now it's evolved massively, creating a huge community of people with a ton of social features. Is that something that you foresaw from the start, or is it something that took over in a later stage?
Well, actually, we've always tried to downplay the social aspects of the site, and really we still want to remain focused just on the core problem of moving large audio files. And it's nice that there's a community that's evolved. I mean, obviously, one thing that's nice is you can build up a list of contacts on the site, and then you can send them. You can share music to them privately, which is really nice. But we're not trying to become a social network. We're not trying to become a MySpace Music. Really, the network, the object of the network, as it were, is the actual tracks and the audio itself. And all the community is really growing around the tracks and the audio itself. And one of the kind of principles is really that SoundCloud is the base of your music or your tracks that you put up, but we actually want you then to be able to move them around the web and to take them to different places. So it could be, if you want to connect with people on Facebook and that's where you are as an artist or a label, then it's really easy to embed your music directly from SoundCloud onto Facebook. Or if you wanted to, you put a fresh track up and you wanted to share it to your Twitter account or put it on your WordPress blog or something like that, then we make it really easy for you to take your music to wherever you need it to be. So in actual fact, although there is a community on SoundCloud, that's actually not something that we really push that hard.
Yeah, because from what I've seen, SoundCloud has become almost like a hub, because there's been quite a few even high-profile musicians that are using the service to distribute their music. And for example, Moby most recently, but he chose to create almost a separate website where he hosted the music that was actually played through via SoundCloud. But other people might choose a widget or Facebook, but to you it doesn't make any difference. Basically, you haven't got a preference as such.
Yeah, exactly right. So Moby put up a few singles and his album up, and then he placed it in several different places. So he had a developer who made a really cool Facebook app out of it, where he streamed the audio, but then his developers built something into the app where you could get a social discount. So the more people that listen to the tracks, the cheaper you could buy the album. And you should check out that app. That was really great. Then they also used exactly the same audio files that were hosted on SoundCloud to build a Twitter app, which was, I think it's twitter.moby.com, where you could listen to the album, and then you could write a review and then send the review to Twitter, etc. And then he also used exactly the same tracks on his website, and I noticed once that he actually he used a site called tweet.fm, I think it's twt.fm, to give away a free download as well, and that was all powered off of his SoundCloud account. And that's really great for us because it's showing that principle of you put your audio up onto SoundCloud once, and that, you can move it around to wherever it needs to be, as soon as it's there. Yep. If you've got your music on MySpace, then it's locked into MySpace, as you have to send people to your page. You can't really, do anything with it.
Yeah, one thing that I was interested in, a lot of musicians now are using SoundCloud to distribute their music, and it's all a free distribution as a model. Has it crossed your mind to actually start selling music as well as make it available for free?
Yeah, I guess it's crossed our mind, and I think it's really we're trying to just be a kind of neutral platform to move audio. So things like selling it or creating, very specific kind of marketing tools and things like that, we'd actually rather people built that layer on top of our platform.
Yeah.
So, just in the same way that people are building really cool apps that, might make money or do things, different on Facebook or, Twitter. We really want, with our API, we really want developers to be able to come on and like create their own applications. So there's no reason that, if we were gonna empower artists to sell their tracks, well, we already do it in one way. We allowed if you upload a track, then you can actually put your own buy links in there. So you can put your own iTunes links or 7 Digital links or eMusic or wherever it is that you're selling your site, you can send people there. But it could be interesting in the future for somebody to come along and do a kind of proper integration where that empowered somebody to sell. But I think from a SoundCloud point of view, we just want to be the platform underpinning all of that, and then let people kind of create that those kind of parts of the ecosystem on top of what we do.
Yeah, because an important part of SoundCloud is also the process of sharing data with the web and other companies so that they can exploit it and make something cool out of it. Because you actually were one of the organizers of Music Hack Day here in London. What do you make of this new wave of companies that are actually finally prepared to share their APIs and try and make something together so that you can build on the idea that you have through other companies?
Yeah, well, I think there's a lot of value in it, and it's really great if you've got certain platforms and certain building blocks that do things. Then there's a lot of value to take something that one person is doing and mash it up with somebody else. It's also great. Going back to the example of Twitter, which isn't necessarily music, but by them creating the kind of platform, then they've allowed other businesses to grow out of that. So people like we actually share an office with a company called TweetDeck in the UK, and they're a company that solely exists because they're using Twitter's API to build a really great Twitter client, and that's something that they're actually doing as a business. But there's, from the kind of commercial applications just to the really fun applications. At Music Hack Day, we had people building everything from, there was a really great project called citysounds.fm that took all of the tracks from SoundCloud and then kind of broke them down by city so that you could check out Berlin, and they imported photos from Flickr whilst it played you the latest tracks that were coming in from Berlin on SoundCloud. But then there was lots of really silly apps. For example, there was if you go to musichackday.org, there's a whole list of different hacks. But yeah, it's just really exciting what kind of stuff can be built. And I think companies that are learning that, if they've actually got valuable data, or they can allow developers to build things on top of what they're already doing, then that's good for everyone.
Staying on the subject of location with city sounds, I was wondering, how do you rate the startup scene from Europe versus the USA? Because I've heard contrasting opinions, with some complaining that there is more money in the US, and some saying that actually Europe is a much better platform to launch a service from.
Yeah, I guess it's different horses for different courses. There's different reasons why you'd set up. If you were setting up, over in Silicon Valley, then there's a lot of other companies, and there's maybe a bigger VC community. But at the same time, there's disadvantages because you kind of get sucked into the echo chamber over there, and it's maybe more difficult to kind of do your own thing, and you get caught up on the echo chamber. Yeah. London's great. I think it's really great that at Music Hack Day we kind of really showed the kind of the different digital music startups that we had. We had 10 companies that were there, and 9 of them were all from Europe. It was only the Echo Nest that was the one company from the US. So I think in terms of digital music, we've actually got some really interesting clusters. There's a big scene in San Francisco. There's quite a lot of really cool companies in Boston and New York, and then also in London. But and throughout Europe. Sweden, there seems to be something in the Swedish water at the moment, obviously with Spotify, and then the SoundCloud owners are Swedish as well. And I think for our own part, SoundCloud, we're actually based in Berlin, and I'm not too sure. I'm not one of the founders, but I mean, Berlin's got a big kind of audio community with companies like Ableton and Native Instruments and things like that. And it's, quite creative, low rents. It's easy for us to kind of just get on with what we're doing. And then in the meantime, I run the London office, which is obviously a lot closer to the European music industry itself. So I guess there's different advantages in different places.
So is SoundCloud going to remain completely focused on a more niche community of musicians that want to distribute their music, or are they going to try and become more mainstream?
Well, I guess really what we're trying to do is do something slightly different. We're forging our own path. We're trying to create a platform that's really a tool for the people who create music themselves. We're not a kind of consumer focused website. As we discussed earlier, we're not just all about the kind of the actual sale of recorded music or anything like that. So we're really trying to do our own thing, and we can see the uses are really varied. We do have some of the major labels that use our system, and they're using it for certain things and not for certain other things. But then we might have, the smallest independent musician or a top-end studio, or, even people like The Guardian have used SoundCloud to embed audio into their site and things like that. So it's not just music, it's also audio and field recordings and things like that. But really, again, just to reiterate the point, what we're trying to do is just create this kind of platform for audio on the web. So just like you've got sites like Flickr that are kind of, a very well-known place for people who, take photos to put them up and then, share them in different ways. We're trying to do the same thing for audio.
Last question. Anything that you want to share with us in terms of development or new features or forthcoming features in SoundCloud?
New features. We should see some exciting new features coming in October. We're actually working hard on a lot of different areas, a few tweaks to the pro accounts and really building in some exciting new features as well. Cool. Making a few kind of streamlined ways for you to share your music even easier if you're sharing it privately.
But you can't give much away.
Well, I wouldn't like to spoil it. I mean, with SoundCloud, we're actually building a lot of things continuously. So we're launching features all the time. So last week we announced that we'd just done an integration with WordPress.com, which means that if you're a blogger using WordPress.com, you can now embed the audio just by putting in a SoundCloud shortcode. We'll be making some really exciting improvements to the stats, which I think will be useful for a lot of people. But for us, it will be a continuous iteration. We're launching features, but around October time, we should be kind of, there's a few kind of milestones that we're hoping to hit. Fingers crossed.
Cool, excellent. Well, thanks very much, and I hope anybody that listens to the podcast is going to go and check out SoundCloud. And
hopefully. And I should just mention one other thing. We were talking about Music Hack Day earlier, and we have some exciting news on that. If you go to musichackday.org, there's actually we're doing another event in Berlin for anyone interested in that. And then later on in the year, we're hoping it's kind of 80-90% confirmed, but we've also got events coming up in Boston and Mumbai as well. So that should be really exciting. And then one last final plug for other things is if anyone is in London on September the 17th, we've got a really exciting session of Open Music Media, which is a London meetup that I run with a guy called Jonas from Last FM. And we've got a very special guest that we're announcing. It's Joey Ito from Creative Commons. So that'll be really exciting. So make sure you get down to that.
Cool, that's great. Thank you very much.